Broadcasting live from the backstretch at Saratoga, this is the Handicappers Report. Brought to you by CapitalOTBBet.com, the premier online wagering site in New York State. CapitalOTBBet.com. Sign up today. And the Clubhouse Racebook, 711 Central Avenue, Albany. Make it to the Clubhouse Racebook.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Handicappers Report, coming to you on Friday of Labor Day weekend 2024. Only 84 races to go in our final 4 days, Seth. It's get tied on, because if you have your early energy late, you better find a second win, because I haven't done Sunday's card, but I think I have to be here. I think I have to deliver the milk on Sunday to the staff and to the security guys to do Del Mar. It's going to be a long weekend, folks.
Yeah, plenty of racing still to
go. I
go.
did 13 races on Saturday. I sent my Saturday picks, and I think it was 13 for Saturday.
I think we're 12 and 12, I think, but I'm not.
Well, there's a surprise. But, as you said, I think you're onto. They made it, making up for that.
Yeah, the
lost
canceled day. Just trying to play a little catch up, because again, typically it's a 40-day meet, and this year it's a 39-day meet. So kind of
the rest of the sports are trying to shrink their fan experience to not us.
We also, well, and we've mentioned it already, but there's a week off between, Saratoga ends, and then there's a week, well, essentially week and a half. Yeah.
I think it's 11 days, right? They come back on the 13th after departing on the 2nd. So yes, you can understand it, but I mean, it can be tiring at the racetrack 6-7 hours. I'm like, because I always tell people the same thing as golf. They'll say like, I played in 3.5 hours. Okay, that's fine. What time did you leave the house and what time did you get back? That's how long you were golfing when you explain it to the wife. It's not, you weren't gone 3.5 hours. You left at 9, you came back at 3. You were gone 6 hours. You might have played golf 3.5 hours, but how long were you at the track? Left at 11:30, got back at 8. All right, there you go. You were at the track for 8.5 hours in some way. So still plenty of action to get out. Unfortunately, another tie, Seth. So I tied Sam, and so that didn't help the team. The tie sounds that we didn't need a tie. We needed a victory from yours truly. So now there's 4 days left. We're still 2 back, and that's just going to be a big hill to climb. So we'll see.
Yeah, my confidence level on
is not high. It was funny because it was a bad job on my part. I said it, yesterday on the air. I probably do it 3 times a year. I just did an awful job with Creditworthy. I mean, just an embarrassment of leaving him off. Sam got him home, tied it up 3-3. And for your Sam that asked, when evaluation ran last in the opener yesterday, that made it 39-39 odds on horses. Now, Sam, and for others out there, should know, when an entry ran, if the entry won, I didn't count it as a win and a loss. I just gave him the win.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you can't. Yeah, there was a horse at odds on that lost, but that's stupid. And if the entry, and it happened, I think, 3 times, if the entry ran and didn't win, I only counted that as 1 loss for betting purposes. So it is when Creditworthy won the last race, it's 40-39 now. We've had 79 odds on horses. And to be honest with you,
41-39 loss,
40 wins for odds on horses, 39 losses. So as you don't need to study differential calculus. That's a negative ROI. Right. It's not even close. What else? A couple things wanted for Sam. And if he sends email to Capital, do we still have Capital OTB? If he sends an email thing, I'd be happy to send him the sheet, because it's broken down. He might be interested in more than that.
I get info.
Okay. I have the trainers, who they were, most of the, usual suspects, but I haven't parsed out even greater if he would like. But it's 40-39. And one thing I noticed, Seth, and I actually might have the time to go back over some years. That seems like very high percentage of races that we have an odds-on horse. I talked about Thistle Downs for those who really follow us this time of year. There's Thistle Downs and Favorite is a favorite's haven. I mean, I'll tell you what, in the spring meet, they had probably 5 occurrences where they had multiple odds-on horses in a race. And just to show you in the big picture, not counting Thistle Downs, that's happened like 4 times in the history of NYRA the last 70 years. And Thistle Downs.
I'm just looking at those 361 races, so that's less than 1 in 5. That's
about
probably,
2 a day.
Yeah, a little less than 2 a day, right? 1 in 5.
I mean, if you're rounding, you would say there's 2 a day. I think that's high. I think odds-on horses are special. I mean, from my way of handicapping,
they used to be. I don't know anymore.
Now, do you think that's a function of the horse population or the bettors, and mostly the CAWs?
I think a little bit of both. Yeah, I think a little bit of both. I think the
CAWs, the way they play. And I'm going to tell you, and one thing I want to definitely tell you, Seth, Seth, I'm telling you, I have looked at some old charts, and by old charts, I don't mean the 50s and 60s. I mean the 80s and 90s. And there would be ordinary races, Seth, when NYRA used to run 6 days a week. You would see odds in 7-horse fields, 76 to 1, 140 to 1, that you don't see anymore. And my wife, who's a numbers person, we talked about this. It's like, because they balance it out. It's a probability chart for them. The math people say nobody should ever be 70 to 1, whereas horse racing people years ago, and it looks like I would bet a Pepsi on this, right? The Queen's MG on opening day is still the highest mutual. I think she's going to stand up.
No, probably at this point.
I mean, it's $88, but I'm now absolutely convinced the reason you see there's almost like this ceiling set that 35 to 1. That very rarely you don't see 60 to 1 shots in an 8-horse field. And another observation I was watching, remember, I forget which race, I can look it up. We were talking about maybe the quintessential thought on the Wilson shoot, where the on paper the contenders were 9 and 10, and I think it was the race Dylan Davis won again, that they just got obliterated. And I watched my 10 trying to make it. I'm like, you can't win from out there.
I said yesterday, and I will toss this out to people, keep it in mind, it is not a strong handicapping angle necessarily. It's the harness angle we talked about.
Yes,
I hopped in both races yesterday, just took a flying shot, and the first one was 155.
Yes.
And the second one I ran first and third. The third place horse was 40 to 1. And down the stretch, and that would have been, I think I looked it up, 120.
And I will tell you, I am getting close to looking for an invitation into that camp of third time is not the charm.
Oh.
For those who don't, I could be wrong, but I think they stopped the Wilson shoot in the middle 60s. They brought it back for that 1 year, I believe, in 92. They disbanded it. Now they brought it back. I just don't know. I don't
know either. I have to look, but it
let's just say
it has gotten.
I don't think it's a level playing
where
field.
1 through 4 do seem to have a notable advantage.
I mean, I watched my horse who had skills on the. I think the 9 was right. T Craft, right?
Yeah,
and he just was toast at the 8th pole. Yeah. He had used up so much energy. Now,
and I don't know if I explained the harness box up 1 through 4. If there are more mile races, give it a shot because it played out in one race yesterday and barely missed in the other one at big prices. So keep that in mind for what remains on the mile.
And what I said when you had parsed out some of the stats was, I'd like to see the odds of the horses who are 7, 8, 9, 10. Well, we had a good chance yesterday. The 9 and 10 were short, and like I said, it's. You have to make your own decisions, but sometimes smart jockeys know, and they're put in a bad spot. They're using early energy because they know I can't win from out here, and they paid the price. And just a couple things. But thanks, Sam. Not as bad as Pimlico was at one time. 3 odds on 3 wins and 13 losses, but I think 50% is bad, right? That's not good. That's real bad. I mean, they should be around 70%, 75%, maybe higher.
Yeah. I mean,
okay.
Being odds on,
Right. And I've always said this, and maybe this is a good year, Seth, when people tease me about, my, I don't know what to call it, my personal pick 3 the other day that ran last, which might be harder to do than hitting the pick 3. People say, he picked against his 2 to 5 shot. I'm like, I've seen him lose. And this year they're losing every other race. Yeah. They're not all. Now I will say this, and Sam might want this. And I know this makes sense, but I just want to hear me out on this. On the losers, I think about half of them ran second. Because I also parse where they run at the price. I mean, you figure that. I mean, their probability of running first or second is, and also a couple of them, and if Sam wants this and gets it, he'll get some insight because he's going to get the full-blown color version. A couple of them were odds-on first-time starters, which I could never advocate to people who watch this show. I'm like, other than Devil's Bagging, Competitive Edge, I mean, there's very few that, word was completely out that they were down the road. Yeah. So,
and there have been a couple where they were head scratchers too.
I had a couple of those.
And there word might have been out, but that was the only. Otherwise, you looked and it's kind of like,
yeah.
Also yesterday, in the With Anticipation, Zulu Kingdom got it done. Had Flavian Prat in here yesterday. He puts a couple more on the resume, but this one was nice because it tied him for the all-time stakes record for a season at Saratoga. He now has 15 stakes wins. That ties him with 3 days to go, but I think at least one of those days he's
out of town.
Kentucky Downs.
Now here's a thing with that. Irad's going to win the meet. And here's the thing we could have done. Is it Flavian or Flavian?
Flavian. I actually asked him because I said I've heard it pronounced both ways. Give me the correct.
So now
he said Flavian.
The A is not long. Yeah. But here's the thing, and I cemented this yesterday, Seth, and I think you might have made a score on this. Flavian's going to probably set – he tied a record, which is amazing. Irad's going to win. But to me, it is unquestionable that Dylan Davis
he did it again yesterday.
has his rides, and he got the ride for good. I mean, it's and this is the type of thing that won't show up in the books. The only place it would show up is in My Little Cave in the World ROI guys. But it's one of the greatest meets I've ever seen.
Yeah, no, unquestionably. I've said it now for the last couple of weeks at least.
It's great.
It's been notable. And it's not just us, the numbers guys and whatnot. My niece, who is not a horse racing fan, was at the track yesterday. And my sister had been in town a couple of weeks ago visiting. And so they tuned in the show. They're not horse racing people, so they don't regularly tune in.
Isn't this your sister who lives by Oaklawn Park, right?
No. This is my sister from Rhode Island.
Oh, okay.
So she was up and – so they watched the show that morning, and Dylan Davis was on board. So they had now come to the track. They came to the track that day or the next day and bet some Dylan and won. And then my niece was here. My niece was there for like 3 races yesterday, and there was a whole text thread. Dylan's my man. Yeah. Dylan, my sister said, we're glad we watched the show. And so
now your niece would be an interesting marketing study because she's not a horse racing person. But you see, I mean, she obviously had other things too, but she came for 3 races. That seems a little light. I would come for 4 or 5, but 3, if you come at the right time, 3 races might only be 90 minutes.
Yeah.
If you just make the first race. But what'd you think of just stopping in for, a couple of races as I have advocated for our fans out there?
Yeah, she did. But yeah, so there were some nice jockey stories at the meet that'll play out through the weekend. Irad, Flavian, and as you say, Dylan Davis, who's been phenomenal. I want to toss out one more thing because I was walking through the grandstand yesterday, ran into Derek, who was walked up, said he's a fan of the show, watches us in the morning, and appreciates the work we do.
Thank you.
But he said his friend Rob Daly, a big fan of the show. So I said I'd give a big fan. I said I'd give a shout out to Rob. So Rob, we appreciate you and Derek and others watching. So again, keep it up, and hopefully we toss out some good ideas. So we can help make it even better. Saratoga.
I always think of people that watch our show because we come at the races so differently. They probably when Seth's talking, they're probably going along going, yeah, okay, that makes all right. I see that and everything. They're like, with me, it's kind of like the Monty Hall thing. Let's see who Mormino likes here. That makes no sense. Like they have you sitting going, if I was at home, I sometimes with your dark horse play of the day, for that brief moment when you say what race it is, if you don't say it too quickly, I try and make a stab. I think I've been right twice so far where you go. People I sit and go, all right, behind door number 3, what is Mormino like? Because it's going to make little to no sense.
Well, no, I'm going to tell you, it's race 2 today.
Oh, I appreciate the heads up.
And I would love to know if you do suss it out here.
The 10. The Man of Mischief.
No.
Ken McPhee. No. Which would make sense. You want to be inside.
I'll give you one more shot. It's there's some breeding and whatnot, but you would have to have look.
Sounds like a plan.
No, number 7. Well, I shouldn't say it.
By the way, just so you know, I was going to say, may I ask one question? Is it an absolute bomb? I didn't ask the question. If you had said yes, I would have gotten it.
Yeah, there you go. It is a bomb, and
I agree with you. Now I only put it for 3rd because I think there's some things that work that I'll also talk about. But
there's things that work and things that don't work.
Yes.
But the 20-1,
you get to ask more questions.
Yeah. So
all right, go ahead.
Let me give you what's coming up at Capital OTB as we wrap up the meet here. Still some action at the clubhouse over the next couple of days. Knockout challenge today at the clubhouse racebook down in Albany, 711 Central Avenue. King of the Hill contest is tomorrow. A little extra fun tomorrow as well at the clubhouse. Today it's a fan appreciation day. The Gallop Inn and Woodlawn have a little fun. If you're a patron out at either of those areas, Gallop Inn, Woodlawn, stop by. Fan Appreciation Day gives us our chance to say thank you to you. Tomorrow, the Bonnie Bet returns. Late pick 5 at Saratoga. Play it with your Capital OTB bet account, and you're in for a shot at the bounty. That's tomorrow. Sunday, we'll have the pick 3 bankroll. I'll get my last shot to finally knock it out of the park. We've been on the verge of knocking it out of the park a number of weeks, including the other day where I played the replay on Wednesday. Oof. That would have been a nice score for the team. Got people some money, but it would have been a lot better. We'll try to knock it out in our final try on Sunday. But entries will open today at noon. So keep that in mind. Go to capitalotb.com, click on the promotions link, and then look for the graphic you saw there. And there's an entry form that'll, again, come up noon or a little after today. Coming up on Racing Across America, Anise Mount Pleasure from Amplify Horse Racing. We've had Anise in plenty of times before. She used to work with the Saratoga Special years ago, and then went on to go into the Flying Start program. And she started Amplify 2 or 3 years ago. And it's a group that is attempting to bring young people into the game and mentor people and kind of help them with their interest in horse racing as a career. We'll talk a little bit about that. Ramon Dominguez and Humberto Chavez will join us from the racetrack chaplaincy. Humberto, the chaplain, Ramon, the president of the chaplaincy. They do great work on the backside. Usually I have
I thought Ramon was going to bring his running log in.
Yeah, well, he may run in. You know, he's talented. 5Ks. That's
family thing.
Yeah. But the chaplaincy does great work, and I usually have them in talking about the Jockey basketball game, and didn't get them in then. We did a little piece on that, but we'll have them in today because the chaplaincy does great work on the backside. And then Tom Bellhouse from West Point Thoroughbreds will join us as well. They have some nice runners coming up here on the weekend and down in Kentucky Downs as well. So we'll get a little preview of the West Point action on the weekend coming up at 10 o'clock, Racing Across America.
And I saw the portable rails set up at Kentucky Downs yesterday. There are 3 rails that they worked through. I told you I had the personal moment with Ramon at a high school cross country. Yeah. I mean, he told us the whole story. My wife's a big runner. So, but enough of that. Time for the DePaula Chevrolet play of the day.
The race for savings is going on now at DePaula Chevrolet. Pick your Chevy, pick your payment, and DePaula delivers. Or every Chevy, 0 down payment, 0 first payment, 0 security.
So come join the family and think DePaula for all your automotive needs.
Hello, everybody. Kevin Cox and Sandy Koufax here with your DePaula play of the day from beautiful Saratoga Race Course. We've been giving you our plays of the day on Fridays and Saturdays throughout the meet. And after showing a flat bet profit for the first 2 years in doing this, well, we've already done it again for a 3rd straight year with 2 selections remaining. As from 13 picks to date, we have 5 winners, 5 placings, and 2 showings, while showing a 27% flat bet profit as of now for our bankroll team. So we look to add to that today in what is a very deep and difficult card. Today's play of the day will be in race number 11, number 9, Tipsy Runner. This miss makes her first start off the claim for Dutro, and although she's facing a little bit tougher than the last race in which she won, the buyer speed figures from that effort definitely fits with the majority of those signed on here. Dylan Davis climbs aboard for the first time today, and he's been lights out this summer, having the meet of a lifetime. As a matter of fact, he comes into today in 4th place in the standings with a good shot at finishing 3rd, or maybe even 2nd place, which would be unbelievable for him. He's going to be riding this weekend like his hair's on fire, you can betcha. So this filly has had the all-important win over the track already and has hit the exacta in 2/3 of her 9 starts on the turf. So we have what we feel is a sensible selection here in a very difficult event. So our DePaula play of the day today is in race number 11, number 9, Tipsy Runner. Have a fantastic day at the track, and we'll see you at the races.
The race for savings is going on now at DePaula Chevrolet. Pick your Chevy, pick your payment, and DePaula delivers. Or every Chevy, 0 down payment, 0 first payment, 0 security.
So come join the family and think DePaula for all your automotive needs.
And if the math is right, folks, 50 races for some of us to get out, for some to get further ahead, for some of us maybe to get more buried. I don't know how this is going to play out, but there's done some quick math with my director and co-host, and it sounds like 50 is the right number. 2-year-olds going 5.5 in the opener.
8, 7, 3, and 2 up with gate to wire on top by Munnings. Obviously, a little win early on top for that one. Todd Pletcher can certainly have them ready, and the string of workouts looks pretty good. I think this horse will absolutely be live in debut. In Canto, Jack Sisterson runner debuted in that Royal Palm down at Gulfstream, which is a win and you're into Royal Ascot. The winner there came back to run really well at Royal Ascot. The second place horse ran well also. And as I understand it, got an invite to Royal Ascot as well, where they were going to pick up part of the cost. They didn't go. But I think they were planning to go, and then the horse had a little bit of a hiccup, but subsequently won. So it was a nice race. It was a fairly close up 5th. Hasn't been seen since then, but that workout, that most recent workout, Tabs and Canto is very playable off of that, race earlier. And then Tiz Dashing going out for our friends Jack Knowlton and Saratoga, Barkley Tag. There's a sibling called Event Detail, 6th, then 2nd, then 1 in the 3rd career start. Tiz the Law is interesting to me. I at the beginning, when the first couple of horses that went out, I thought he's going to be okay. Now, on win early, maybe not, but on racing well early, yes. 25 first-time starters this year, only 2 wins, but 6 seconds and 4 thirds. So hitting the board, hitting the trifecta about half the time with his first-time starters, sire Tiz the Law. So I have it 8, 7, 3, and 2.
And not that I'm in this business at all, but I have to say, I thought when they made the deal for Tiz the Law, because they didn't get a chance to make a deal for Funny Side, obviously, as a gelding, I thought he had all the earmarkings of being a classic and precocious, which is a tremendous combination. We'll see. I have it, similar in here. Just, I just, talked about the odds on horses with first. I just wasn't going to put the firster on top, and off of a May 11th debut, we've had enough time. So 7, 8, 3 for me. And there is a small chance some of the Morminos could finally go to Royal Ascot, because the youngest Mormino graduates on May 30th. And usually Royal Ascot is around June 20th, right? And that's usually been exam week for young Anthony. So that's by the board. We'll see what Mrs. M thinks.
Got to get your top hat and your day coat. Second race today, this afternoon. I
don't think we'll be invited to the enclosure.
You can pay your way in. Right?
I think you can.
Yeah. Second race today. State bred maiden specials going 1 mile and 1/16 on the grass.
And I think Miss Denise would have to wear either a hat or a fastener. I think.
Is that?
I think it's almost a thing.
Oh, fascinator.
Fascinator. I think she has to wear something up here.
Oh, really?
I think so. 317 for me. We've talked about the mile shoot and stuff, but the baby's inside. Seth's obviously going to have something here. Sounds like a plan. I was inside an Offspring of Twirling Candy at a Spicetown mare. I think there's a little bit to like there because there's a first time starter, but we are 8-1. Bill Mott sends out the 1, the second time starter, first time on the turf, and then powered by Cole. I will say, Mark Henning, who we love, has had some. I took some flyers on some firsters. Mark's not known for that. This horse is a big price that I'm sure Seth will touch on, but to me, in the mix, 317.
And it is my dark horse, so I'll wait to hit on that a little more in a moment. But I have a 7, 1, 2, and 10. I thought the 9 was interesting as well. So again, we'll hit on the 7 in a moment. But Scythian, the number 2 underneath, Sibling, Something to Tell You, 1 in the second career start. Ascender, 1 in the second career start. Bonita Cat, 1 in the debut. So there's some siblings that are win early. Mentioned Tislaw earlier as one that I find intriguing. This one comes off the second place finish with the experience under the belt. I think Sethian's a player with that win early breeding and the experience. Iron Max by Caravaggio. Good first outsider, 27 firsters, 7 wins, 3 seconds, 4 thirds. And again, this isn't a firster, but those stats seem to indicate win early potential. And I think this one in the third start and getting back to the turf could be very tough for Jeremiah. Man of Mischief, I think, is a player off the first couple of starts for Kenny McPeak. Again, as I said, real savvy. There's some win early breeding there. Sibling called Brattle House that won 4 of the first 6. The other 2 were second place finishes. They were a little more dirt, however, but still real savvy. Flavian Pratt on board. So again, I'll hit on the 7 a little more in a moment. But 7, 1, 2, and 10.
And what you turn your attention to A's more than I do. What happens if Jess Licorice got in? He's only the second one on the list. I'm wondering if that horse would be heck to pay.
Yeah, there's
like I said, I've gotten 4 phone calls in 10 years, and 3 of them were right. But looking at the AEs that Irad took the mount on that
there's a couple AEs over the next couple, having handicapped ahead.
Yes,
that I like. They're just a little too. This one, usually if it's first or second on the AE. And I looked at that when I just found the others more interesting.
No, I'm just saying if you got in, you just add more juice to it. Like, are you kidding me? On to the third, once around, State Bred's 2X.
3, 4, 6, and 1 Neural Network on top. Chad and Klarovich. This is a tough call because off the earlier races, yes, they clearly felt that this horse had some talent, broke the maiden in the debut, and then they tried stakes races subsequently last year. And then laid off quite a while. The comebacker, to me, was kind of promising, but it wasn't good enough for me to feel this is an absolute slam dunk. But I think there's enough talent here that we saw earlier that if we benefit from that first out in the season, this one may absolutely be the one to beat. That said, morning line favorite is Mighty Atlas. This one hasn't been seen since late June. Goes out for Mike Maker. And absolutely on the numbers is probably going to be the one to beat. Pretty consistently tosses numbers that have an edge on most in here. Cut the cord in the third spot. Goes out for owner trainer Jeremiah Engelhardt. Nice win. 2 back in similar company. Last time ran 4th in similar company. But again, that race last time was coming out of the chute and came out of the 9 post position. So maybe we can forgive that a little bit and look a couple of starts back. I have a 3, 4, 6, and 1.
Now, this is the first summer I've talked about it, but you should trust me that I've used it for years. Once again, focusing on the buyer par. I don't think anyone's ever reached it in this group. So to me, how tough a group is it? That's, just one point. But the other is, if it's not the old Mighty Atlas, it's everybody. It's everybody's in the pool. In my opinion, if Mighty Atlas can't run back to those 90, 89, 88s coming off the 75 in June, everybody's live in this race. And off the 15-month layoff, the comeback, I mean, maybe it reeks of practice. I don't know. Chad Brown's not going to call me up, so it's like, but I was in the same spot. Yep. We might be having a moment here, folks.
Oh no! I think somebody just there. I think they put the stop signs up, and somebody did not stop. I don't think it was the horse. There was some screaming out there, which makes you worry maybe a loose horse or something.
No, but the horses were behaving. The adults might not have.
The car tried to jump the line.
Which is
when the horses are walking through. Yeah, you can't.
Larger taboo.
Yeah, you can't do
than
that.
Something like that.
And he's still edging.
Yeah, he's waiting. He will not. Unbelievable.
He will not give it up. Yikes! But it wasn't a horse, which is
left him behind, and then Mighty Atlas. But as I said, to me, this race really, what's the word? Circles around is a better word. But whether Mighty Atlas, who could put this field in his back pocket, but if he doesn't, all 6 are live.
All right, dark horse play of the day for this Friday afternoon. As alluded to earlier, it's race number 2. And as I say, I went back and forth here because there was some good stats and some stats not so much maybe. And the stats not so much. I was looking at the workout report. The workout reports for my horse, and it's the number 7, powered by Cole. The workout reports were a little dicey. But you look kind of at the rest of the field, and none of them were jumping off either. I mean, in this particular field, I don't know whether we have any world beaters coming out of here. So at 20-1, I was willing to take the shot. Instagram is the sire. And like I mentioned with Tiz the Law earlier, on the win end, first time out for the sire, not so much, but overall does pretty well. Instagram so far this year, 33 first-time starters, only 2 wins, but 7 seconds and 7 thirds. So half of the time the horse hits the board for first-time starters by Instagram. The dam produced a sibling called Thorogood that was second in debut, won the second start. Both of those were turf routes. Ideational, another sibling, won in the second start, turf route. So I thought there was some nice win early breeding here. Again, the workouts are a little bit up in the air as far as the times and certainly the reports. Mark Hennig can have them ready, not necessarily known for it, but can get a firster to go. And we're getting 20-1 in a field where I don't know whether anything else was necessarily jumping off the page at me. So for me, dark horse play today this afternoon, race number 2, horse number 7, powered by Cole, brought to you by the Dark Horse Mercantile and Impressions of Saratoga, both in downtown Saratoga, right on Broadway. I continue to say it. And if you're coming up here Labor Day weekend, stop down. Both stores are about 2 blocks apart on opposite sides of the street. You will enjoy just browsing through. You'll find something you like down there. Say hello for us. But again, thanks to Dark Horse and Impressions for sponsoring the Dark Horse play of the day. And just before we go to the break, I will note we hit yesterday, but as anticipated, I completely lost. I said yesterday on the card, I couldn't find anything clever for a price, which clearly is what you're looking for the Dark Horse play of the day. So I used Call Protection, who was 7-2 on the morning line, but with the connections, I thought, I don't know, we'll get that. Well, we got the win, but $5.80 wasn't really Dark Horse material price-wise, but we did.
But you are today.
Put one in the win column, so there we go.
We'll be right back.
More than 4 generations, Bruce Cerrone and his family have continued the 102-year tradition of delighting their local following and faithful summer crowd with the finest authentic Italian recipes. Classic Italian dishes made with the freshest ingredients, served in a home-like setting. Some things have changed in the last 102 years, but not Pinnell's commitment to the finest in Italian cuisine. Pinnell's Italian Restaurant, a Saratoga tradition since 1922. 284 Jefferson Street, just minutes from the track.
Sometimes it pays to go with the flow, to check your worries at the door, to reconnect with your crew, to follow the thrills and the flavor, to roll with it and see where it takes you, to enjoy every minute to its fullest, and to dance like there's no tomorrow. You can do that here at Rivers Casino and Resort Schenectady, where the good times flow.
It only takes one upset to make history, and now you can be part of Saratoga's long tradition at the Dark Horse Mercantile. The Dark Horse Mercantile offers a carefully curated selection of clothing, gifts, and home decor, from one-of-a-kind vintage racing memorabilia to select brands like Barber and Under Armour, as well as exclusive Dark Horse branded merchandise. So celebrate the Dark Horse in all of us at the Dark Horse Mercantile, downtown Saratoga, where the smart bet is always the Dark Horse.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Race 4, starter allowance going 6.5.
For the 1 entry, 7 and 6, I'm going to put Dillinger on top. Comes in off a nice couple of starts so far this season, right up here at Saratoga. Came in from Delaware back in early July, had a nice win against conditional claimers. So then made kind of a stiff move into the starter allowance company last time and just missed in a pretty good effort. Last time was 7, 2 starts back to win 6.5. So the cut back to 6.5, I think, will be beneficial. I'll go with Dillinger on top. Then the 1 entry, Mormino and Tommy Two Socks. I don't really prefer one over the other. Certainly there's some back numbers from Mormino that are pretty good, but there's a back number that's also pretty good for Tommy Two Socks. The most recent races for both, I think, fit with this bunch. So, again, I think they're both players, and I don't really prefer one over the other. So if we wind up scratching half, I'm equally as confident on either portion. And then the third spot, 9-5 on the morning line for Showtime. Comes in off a nice win down at Churchill in June. Pretty consistently puts in numbers that probably warrant the morning line favoritism. Also gets Irad on board. But, there's also some numbers in there that match up with this bunch. So I don't know whether off the claim and moving into this type of company, we can expect this one to kind of have, the 9. I don't know that 9-5 is justified. Let me put it that way. We'll see this afternoon. Potentially could be, because again, consistency as compared to some of the other ones, number wise, probably deserves it. But again, not always in that mix. I have it for the 1 entry, 7 and 6.
Can you give me the Whitney winning trainer in this race as I handicap this? I thought it goes through 3 horses, probably 4. I left off Dillinger. Seth did not put him on top. To me, you have it wrapped up with the entry, the 7, and the 4. And I was 7, 1A, and 5.
I can't.
Number 5. It is the 30th anniversary of Brunswick winning the Whitney. I think he prepped it a 7-furlong allowance sprint.
Which used to be a thing. 5th race this afternoon. Conditional claimers, 25 tags, non-winners of 2 lifetime. They will come out of the chute at a mile.
2-5-1. I don't think. We have it almost. We have the Christmas tree trifecta between us. Pitch Clock drops in for a tag for the Chad Barn and Klarovich. Pam going out for Ron Moquette, who has had very limited starters at this meet, comes in off 1 mile races that have similar configuration at the recently concluded Ellis Park. And then Backstretch Rose, first off the claim, but 2-5-1 for me.
2, 1, 5, and 4. And again, given what we talked about earlier, I am perfectly happy where I am post position wise. Pitch Clock leaves from the 2, gets some class relief for Chad and Klarovich, and I think is very potent in here. But do note the last couple of starts weren't very good, but this is a team that kind of spots these well up here and gets a win, and then the horse moves on to somebody else, and they open up a slot in the stall for one of their higher priced horses to move into. Backstretch Rose going out for Flying P. Jay Provenzano having a very good meet as an owner. Normally you don't look on the owner side of things, but up here, given the situation with Jay, vying for the meet title and whatnot, placement is intriguing. This one comes out of a $25,000 claimer earlier this month, and I think is going to be well spotted in here. And then Pam in the 3rd spot, as you say, for Ron Moquette, coming in from Kentucky and getting some class relief as well. 2, 1, 5, and 4.
Jay's photo in the Naira Media Guide appears as if he's already won the Saratoga racing schedule. Certainly the most animated, fun photo in the group. On to the 6th race, and I kid you not, plus or minus 10, I think I'm right, about the 140th running of the Saranac. I think it's probably the most. It's probably the most.
Wasn't it like the closing day
over
for a while?
Closing day a couple times. I think when they ran at 1 mile and 3/16, and it was the follow up to the Hall of Fame to give your favorite subset, 2 races up here. But I think you're right. But for me, what I remember is Manila got beat on the turf when it used to be 1 mile at Belmont. Remember they used to have that 3-race series with the Hill Prince and the Lexington for 3-year-olds? You got beat in the Saranac.
4, 5, 6, and 1. I'm going to put Yo Daddy on top for Linda Rice, coming out of his starter allowance, but coming out of his starter allowance in fine fashion, going that mile trip out of the chute. Before that was a mile and an 8. Both of those obviously on the main track, but you look prior, ran okay on dirt. I think this is just an improved performer and going to be interesting to see popping over on the dirt. And Dylan Davis on board at a little bit of a price doesn't hurt either. The Big Torpedo, New York bred from Tom Morley, steps out of New York bred company where the horses run well, winningly well in the New York Stallion series, but it's, the same situation most of the time. 2 nice winning efforts most recently, but ran well against Open Company, 3 back. And the process, I think, will be very intriguing for Cherie DeVoe and company coming out of a close-up finish at Horseshoe Indy, but last time at Colonial, a really nice effort there. And coming out of those 2, I think is tough today. 4, 5, 6, and 1.
It's a 6-horse field in the main body, and I think it's an outstanding race. That being said, I think it's the first moment for the Big Torpedo, and I think he does it in smashing style. I think Eric Consell is sitting on one of the better horses in his career. I think they get into the second time in Open Company, first time graded. I think they passed the test today. From the rail, West Hollywood for Brad Cox. And then the process for me was Cherie DeVoe, who I think is just as tough as my exacta pick. And that leaves off, Take Me to Church, first time United States. A very nice addition of the Saturday night. But I think it's the Big Torpedo's day.
All right, we'll take another break. When we come back, we'll continue our look at Saratoga for Friday afternoon. Stay tuned.
Want to get your career in horse racing off to a fast start? Well, the University of Arizona's Racetrack Industry Program is your winning ticket. The Racetrack Industry Program has served as a springboard to some of the industry's most successful individuals, with a proven track record of job placement right out of college. If you want to earn a degree in the exciting horse racing industry, the Racetrack Industry Program can put you in the winner's circle.
A day at the track isn't complete without a night at the Horseshoe. Great food, hot music, and cold drinks. So why go downtown when all the action's just across from the track? The Horseshoe Inn at the corner of Nelson and Gridley.
Capital OTB is now streaming live on Roku. The RTN Racing channel on Roku lets you watch OTB TV live through your Roku device or your Amazon Fire Stick, rather than being limited to computers and mobile devices, which means you can now watch OTB live wherever you are. Simply open Roku, scroll to find the RTN channel, then click on OTB TV. OTB TV on Roku. Try it now.
And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We have Open Company fillies, maiden special weights, the letter R.
Worse, we were talking during the break about ads when you print out the racing form. And worse is the ads that pop up at the last second on the Equibase page when you're looking for a race result or some information there. And so you mistakenly hit, it's like, come on.
I have the pause button because of that now. It annoys me so much. I just wait for it to thing, and then I'm like, no, you're not getting me.
I typically forget to do that. Boom. You click it, and it
hilts it. No, I'm looking for the chart.
I have it 9, 6, 2, and 4.
Wow.
I think the 5 is maybe a little bit intriguing in here as well. But I went with Divine Works on top, Mike Trombetta. Divining Rod, a little bit interesting. Kind of maybe a float under the radar, kind of a win early sire. 15 first-time starters, 3 wins, no seconds, and a third. But again, decent little numbers first time out of the box. Thought there was a little bit of win early breeding here. And I certainly thought, a string of works that, don't jump off the page, but are okay. Bouvier in the second spot. More Spirit is okay as the first outsider, but more importantly, trainer's very good, launching first-time starters. And then in the third spot, Cheek Azteca, Submonition won the first 2 starts of the career. Sharp Azteca over the years has really appealed to me as a win early sire. Maybe a couple of years ago or a little more, was more potent, But this year, 28 first-time starters, 3 wins, a second, and 3/3. And again, may sneak away a little bit, given the first-time effort at Finger Lakes, which was okay, but the number is very light. But there's breeding here that says, with experience under the belt, and it could be interesting. Dylan Davis on board again, 4, 6, 2, and 4.
Did you see his filly out in the Rancho Bernardo the other day? 1-9.
No. Oh.
Sweet Azteca down there. Fabian went out to basically ride her. You think of a sprinting filly isn't enough to get you out, but he's not giving up that bound. Divining ride. I'm hoping now to finally get my money back on that Cigar Mile of a couple of years ago. It's today with the offspring. Divine Works, the filly for Michael Trombetta. We land on the same horses. In the main body, folks, 9 of them are firsters. You talk about taking stabs and guessing. I took Bourbon Blanket at a very big price. Just an absolute flyer in here. And then very cosmopolitan and offspring of Complexity is off to a good start. So 9-3-4 for me.
8th race this afternoon. We're looking at New York bred 2-year-old maidens going 8.5 furlongs on the grass.
648. I just want to take a quick moment. More Than Ready, who passed away a couple of years ago. Not only, I don't know, a breeding, expert, Nicole Russo. This would interest me. I don't know any stallion that was as successful so late in their life as More Than Ready. More Than Ready turned out to be one of the most useful stallions ever in the United States. I mean, his career, he was brilliant at 2. I've said this before. I know it sounds stupid. He might have been one of the best 2-year-olds before August 1st. Seth, I think he was like 5 for 5, had set 3 track records, went to the sidelines, never really came back as the same horse. I think after his blazing start, I think the King's Bishop might have been the only race he won again, but then became a great stallion. And this is me, Smooth Breeze on top, an offspring of More Than Ready, first-time starter from one of the best stallions there's been. Number 4, Ori from Mike Maker, making the second career start. They go a distance to ground. They add blinkers. And then Dark Magic, a firster for Bill Mott. Once again, you have 10 in the main body, and 8 are firsters in here.
And I'll toss out, again, some post-position stats. We've talked about it coming out of the mile chute, but I was handicapping. I think it was for a race tomorrow or maybe the next day coming in this. And I went outside, and I was curious. I looked up the stats. Today, in this race, I'm more inside, but I'll just toss out the stats to you because they're a little bit intriguing. Mile and a 16th inner turf this race. And as I say, I'm happier today than the one I went with either tomorrow or the next day where I'm on the outside, because the 8 post position, 4 for 33 at a mile and 16th inner turf. The 9 post position, 0 for 25. The 10 post position, 3 for 21. 11 and 12 both have limited starters, but they're 0. But you get 8 out, it starts to become a little tougher to get it done. So again, I'm happier where I am. I put Ori on top, 4, 2, 11, and 3. I have the 10 at the bottom of my mix, and
early
the 11
and brought gifts.
If that one, there we go, very good. Ori, Mike Maker trainee, 4th place finish in the debut. Thought it was a good debut effort to build on. Had a little trouble, and I think now stretching out with that experience under the belt. National Archive, Constitution, we know, very good sire, first out runners. 73 first-time starters, 10 wins, 3 seconds, 8/3. First foal by the dam, so not much to see there, but a nice steady string of workouts. National Archive belongs. And then I did go with the AE. If this one makes it in, take a look. But again, the post position will be something to overcome. 4, 2, 11, and 3.
I saw what you did there.
What?
Well, I saw what they did there. Constitution, National Archive.
Oh, right. Yeah.
For those who don't drag their children to historical places, the National Archives building in Washington, D.C. houses the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution.
Did you ever see the Nicholas? What is
yes,
the Nicholas?
National Treasure.
It is
one of my favorite movies to watch.
It is fun, yeah, with Cage and his dad, John Voight. It's a good movie if people just as one of those caper kind of things.
I agree. On the 9th, 7 furlong state-bred fillies.
10, 4, 7, and 1 off script goes out for Chad Brown in the second start of the career. I mentioned Instagram is kind of a sneaky fun sire, and that's the sire of this one, and no surprise being from OXO. Second place finish, I think, is one that we can use as a foundation to move forward from. Lightning Mama finished behind Bellicose, and Bellicose is going to be interesting over the weekend. Now, well behind that one, but may turn out to be a productive race. We'll find out more. But it was not, much of a finish, but it was in the punch a little bit early, has a little bit of breeding, maybe the kind of horse that benefits and improves in the second start. And then early on in the third position for Safi Joseph, of a decent looking debut. It was in a different barn, but it was a decent debut to build on. So 10-4, 7-1.
And I think, Seth, that makes 3 races in a row where the main bodies are 10 runners. 2 races back, we had one that had a race. The previous race, we had 2. This one, we have 3. So we have 7 firsters in here. I'm with Seth, though. I think off script after the debut. Beaten favorite in late July gets it done today. Early on, another horse with experience, a little bit better start today. I think will be very competitive. And then Olivia's Wish at a huge price in here. Very sharp connections for 30-1. So 10-7-9 for me.
All right. Another break, right? Break time?
Yes. Final break.
So we'll take that. We'll come back and complete our look at the Friday card. Stay tuned.
For more than 4 generations, Bruce Cerrone and his family have continued the 102-year tradition of delighting their local following and faithful summer crowd with the finest authentic Italian recipes. Classic Italian dishes made with the freshest ingredients, served in a home-like setting. Some things have changed in the last 102 years, but not Pinnell's commitment to the finest in Italian cuisine. Pinnell's Italian Restaurant, a Saratoga tradition since 1922. 284 Jefferson Street, just minutes from the track.
Sometimes it pays to go with the flow, to check your worries at the door, to reconnect with your crew, to follow the thrills and the flavor, to roll with it and see where it takes you, to enjoy every minute to its fullest, and to dance like there's no tomorrow. You can do that here at Rivers Casino and Resort Schenectady, where the good times flow.
The only thing better than watching the races is watching your own racehorse. With nearly 20 years experience in the racing industry, Bonaventure Stables' share-based ownership program enables everyday fans to become part owner of a thoroughbred for far less than you might think, with all the ownership perks at Saratoga, Belmont, Aqueduct, and other great tracks. Experience the thrill and lifestyle of owning your own thoroughbred racehorse. Learn more at bonaventurestables.com.
Welcome back to the Handicappers Report on this Friday morning. A few more races to go here before we wrap up the Friday card. We'll kick it off with race number 10. Conditional claimers coming out of the chute at a mile.
And, this is, because we have kind of felt this evolving about these mile races, which I think the scheduled ones, we've run so many now. It's become very popular. We get more because of the nature of the 2-year-old races off the turf, also the olders off the turf. So, but the scheduled numbers have been very high. I'm outside here, which is swimming uphill. But here's the difference. That's money is 12-1 and Prince of Dioro is 15-1. And that's what I need, because yesterday for me, Seth, truly confirmed my prejudice against how tough it is to get it done. Now, and I've seen it, it's even hard to get over because the other jockeys know what difficult position you are. You can't come out of the gate and put the brakes on and do what I used to call the 45-degree angle over to the rail. I call that the Jerry Bailey Serena song thing. She was like in the 9-post position in the Whitney. Jerry got her right to the rail going forward. It's hard, but you get a price and you take a chance, and that's money for me on top. Inside Chelino, is it pronounced? Linda Rice's runner. Only the second start of the year, first since March, and then the 10. It's swimming uphill, but at least this time, unlike yesterday, the price is there.
1, 4, 7, and 8 for me. Chelino on top, and again, it played into the situation I've kind of plugged into over the last week or so with the situation out of the chute. So I put that one on top. Second spot, I went to still in one of the post positions that has been productive. I went with Emirates Road in the second spot. Second off the claim for Brad Cox. First start was a mile on the turf. Could be interesting getting this mile on the dirt. There's some dirt races underneath that say, it's not going to be an obstacle for this horse. He's talented. Again, gets one of those post positions that plays into the chute. And then Cool Operator in the third spot on a class dip, third start off the claim for Linda Rice. And I think the class dip could be influential. In the 10th, 1, 4, 7, and 8.
In the 11th, the condition we don't run very often, New York. Optional claimer starter allowance, dashing 5.5 on the turf.
2, 5, 10, and 1. Hurricane Debbie on top for Safi Joseph, who has clearly had a very, very good meet. Claimed this one out of a 4th place finish last time. The number was a little light, but you go down the page and there are better numbers and numbers that are going to match up nicely with this group. So first off the claim, it's Safi. I think we can get back to better numbers that this horse has typically thrown, in the last 5 or 6 starts, drawing a line through the latest. And Irod Ortiz is on board as well. Second spot, Candy Girl goes out for Brad Cox off a nice try at Presque Isle last time. Question mark for this one is the turf, because the last 3 Presque Isle and Turfway, so synthetic. But the 2 turf races about this time last year were okay. One was a stakes race. The number was okay. Finishing position wasn't as much, but the maiden breaker is pretty good. So I think the return to grass is going to be fine. And then in the third spot, we'll go to Linerite. Dave Donk. Dave Donk's quietly had a pretty good meet. And this one has run well in the first 3 starts up here at Saratoga. It makes a kind of a quick turnaround. We'll see if the horse sticks in the race, but if so, could be dangerous. 2, 5, 10, and 1.
Yeah, I am guilty of having a blind spot for the Presque Isle horses coming in. I actually like their move onto the turf off of the synthetic at Presque Isle. Candy Girl is one of my favorite thoughts of the day. Seth has it for second. I have Laconia coming out of stakes action. Going to be very competitive than Hurricane Debbie. But it's a competitive race, but I like Candy Girl very much today.
Goes off at about 10 of 7 tonight. The finale, race number 12, State Bred Maiden Specials, going a mile on the grass.
Took a big flyer in here, Seth. 4, 9, and 6. Jimmy Bond sends out the 4 for the second career start. And I said this yesterday, we have not run very many mile races on the turf. This horse debuted sprinting. Maybe it was practice, but now we draw well. We're going to root from a very good barn. For second, Jose Delgado sends out the 9 coming out of a runner-up position in this race. And then King Creasa, offered a big price, will probably be a solid price today. But 4, 9, 6, we have 6 of the 10 in the main body cover.
Yeah, I'm 7, 1, 2, and 9. Hard Par goes out for Adelphi. Matt Couture and his group, Adelphi and company, have this one. Ray Handels had a very good meet. This one comes in of a couple of third-place finishes. I think is in a bunch where maybe we can break through today. Hard to say for certain because I think it's an evenly matched group, but Daybreak Daylights in the second spot. Also Ray Handel, third start of the career off a couple of numbers that match up with these and doesn't have to leap forward too much. And New York Scrappy. The turf race was okay, arguably the best race of the career. So getting back to the grass this afternoon for Mark Cassie, who has also had a very good meet. And we will have Mark tomorrow. I taped Mark yesterday. We'll have Mark tomorrow on Racing Across America, the taped version of that. So for me in the finale, 7, 1, 2, and 9.
All right, 50 races left. Make it happen. We'll see you back here tomorrow morning.
This has been the Handicappers Report, brought to you by CapitalOTBBet.com, the premier online wagering site in New York State. CapitalOTBBet.com. Sign up today. And the Clubhouse Racebook, 711 Central Avenue, Albany. Make it to the Clubhouse Racebook.